it's time for you to get the fuck out of rooms that fuck with your mindset, that tell you that there's something terribly wrong if your business is not up 400% every single month. Like, get out of rooms that make you doubt your success.
What's up, Savages? You're listening to the Strategies of a Savage CEO podcast. I'm your host, Demi, and if you don't know me yet, it is no wonder you're not making the sales that you want to be making in your business, but that's about to fucking change. I've scaled my business to almost 8 figures in revenue over the past few years, and I've helped thousands of women make the money they deserve. Not through fluffy things like manifestation or energy work, but through real, non-BS money-making strategies that drive insane results. I'm talking things like crafting powerful content rooted in actual human psychology so that you know every single time you post it's going to convert. I'm talking about designing irresistible offers and building recurring revenue streams in your business structure. I'm talking about implementing real systems that actually scale your business into a 7-figure brand. It is time for you to go full savage mode with your business strategy to truly get the results you not only want, but deserve. So let's get into the episode.
Welcome back to another episode of Strategies of a Savage CEO. I am going to make scaling your business year over year feel extremely easy for you. And when you listen to this episode, I think you're actually going to feel a really big weight just come off of your shoulders, because this online space and the marketing of it can make you feel like if your income is not increasing like tenfold every single month, that you're behind. But I look at the longevity, long term of a business strategy for long-term success. And this is how every single year I have been able to increase my income. Okay. Year one, when we pivoted to my mentorship business, in 9 months, we did $100,000. Closed off our first year at over that 6-figure mark. Year number 2, we went from $100K to $720,000 in cash, $1 million sales. Now, this was an incredible year. It was a very big hustle year, which is why we were able to see such a massive increase. But then from that moment on, I actually let go of a lot of the pressure on myself to just continuously do more and do more. Just keep in mind that in year 1 and year 2, for me, it was so much about proving myself and making sure that people knew my name. And that meant like I went live every day for that year. Like I launched program after program, free class after free class. I hustled my way to that $1 million in sales. And from that moment on, when I hit my first million, I realized I didn't want to do business the way that I was doing it. And I needed to get smarter about it. I needed to have a better process for actually scaling that didn't burn me out in such a big way. And so what I realized then was what I want to talk to you about today, which is my 10% rule. From there, after that second year, we did $1 million in sales that year, but we did $720K cash. That next year went on to be a almost $4 million cash year. 1.375 I think is what we came in at that next year. The next year after that was 1.5. The next year after that I did scale and we did hit our very first $2 million cash year. And this year we are on track to just continue to do that again, but in a way that's even more aligned, that's scaled back, that has given me so much more time. And that was my biggest goal for this year. It wasn't to really outdo my revenue numbers. It was to continue to see the same success, but work less. And I think that narrative and that grounded space that I come from isn't something that you get a lot in this coaching industry. And so this is why I want to talk to you about this today, so you can stop feeling so much pressure on yourself all the time and set longer term goals that are actually going to make you feel good and that feel really achievable for yourself. And it's not that you don't want to be the person that goes big and you don't want to have the 7-figure business and you don't want to make millions and all of these things, but you're also somebody who wants to do that in a way that feels really authentic, that feels ethical, that feels good for you. And so when you listen to this, you might not agree with everything that I say, but I think in the long term, you'll come to find that this episode is something that you'll come back to when you're ready, even if it's not it right now. But the first thing I want to say is fuck your quantum leaps. Like, fuck your quantum leaps. What the fuck is a quantum leap? Like, so many people talk about that as a fancy way to say like to go bigger or to invest more or whatever it is, but fuck your quantum leaps. I want to talk to you right now about my 10% rule for business growth, which is my secret to scaling fast without breaking your business. Because the other aspect that happens when you try to go really fast is that you don't actually look at everything that you need to be looking at, capacity wise, feel good wise, etc. And a lot of the times, a lot of entrepreneurs actually come to me and they've created a really big mess for themselves that's actually hard to get out of. And, getting out of that mess that they've built, the business that they now hate, because they didn't think, they just moved, which is fine in some aspects, but there are some different things that you need to look at longer term in your business, because now you have a mess, a business that you hate, and you're going to actually probably end up going into some sort of dip to be able to pull yourself out of it and actually build something that's more aligned. And so this is why I also think that this 10% rule is so important, because this is what real grounded business leaders actually look at. So everyone, I feel like in this space, wants to whatever quantum leap, right? They want to just hit the big numbers, they want to hit them fast. And I think that what they don't realize is that without the proper strategy, the foundations, the structure, the capacity, because a lot of times too, you're doing things that your body and your mind hasn't caught up with yet, right? Like let's say you quantum leap to have $100,000 month, your mind is not 100% there with you yet. Your business is probably not 100% ready to support that as well in the long term. And that leads to reckless growth, right? It leads to chaos, it leads to friction and major cleanup. I myself have been there. And I know a lot of the women that come to work with me, that's one of their main problems, and I have to help them restructure and actually set them up for sustainable scaling, right? Like I was talking about, back in 2020, I jumped from that 100K year to that 720K year, $1 million sales year. And like I said, while that kind of leap sounds amazing on paper, behind the scenes, my business, I was hustling, I wasn't taking care of myself, it was a mess. I was going live every day. Like I was just like a shell of the human being that I actually used to be. My self-care suffered because all I cared about was the business and making sure I was doing everything that I possibly could to grow it and grow it fast. And I look back on that and I'm like, wow, okay, that set me up so well in a sense for like where I am today. And I'm so grateful for that, like part of my journey, but also there are definitely mistakes that I made, and I lost myself a little bit in my worthiness in that business in that year. And so I share this with you just so you can like check in with yourself for a moment as well, and really look at like what it is that you're building, right? Because on paper, it might look good to you, but how do you actually feel about who you're being, the standards you're holding yourself to, and how you're leading in your life outside of the numbers, right? As well, like when I jumped in that year, like I didn't have the proper support in my business to actually sustain that level of growth. And I really had to scramble to build my systems on the fly. I had to fix gaps in my offers. I had to restructure my entire business just to keep up. And I was working, like I said, 12 to 16-hour days, and the growth was very exciting, but it just wasn't sustainable. And I think that the key for me in really shifting this was scaling fast, but also really looking at this in a more intentional and strategic standpoint and a long-term standpoint.
Hey Savages, Demi here. I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I've got a very quick but game-changing message for you. If you are ready to take your content from being a nice girl to a mother effing boss, and not only create content that demands attention and respect, but actually attracts high level, high paying clients that see you as the authority and best option to work with, I want to invite you to come into my Savage Content Collective membership. This is the place where women just like you are taking my exact strategies for posting and content prompts and turning them into daily sales. I'm talking about women making $45,000 in just 3 weeks after a complete sales drought, or women that have been attracting 5-figure painful clients and having their fastest sales ever after posting. If you are ready to stop guessing and start generating real revenue from your content, this is for you. And when you join, you're going to get immediate access to weeks of content prompts and some of my best social media trainings. If you DM me the word podcast on Instagram right now, I am going to send you a special discount to actually join the Savage Content Collective. It is time for you to stop posting any old content and actually start getting paid high ticket and attracting the best clients for you from your content. Now let's get back into the episode.
One of the things that I say often to clients is how does this come to fruition, this idea that you have, whatever, it feels good right now, it feels exciting right now, it feels like you can make sales right now. How are you going to feel about this offer or feel about this thing 6 months from now? Is this something that you actually have the capacity to do? Check in with yourself. So many of my clients will say, I don't want to do something, and then turn around and craft an offer that's exactly what they said they didn't want more of. So really check in with what kinds of offers that you are creating, because I myself, again, have been there where you have to go through this restructuring. And for me to go through this restructuring that I did, I hit in that year what year was that? 2021. I was hitting 60K, 70K months. I did two $70,000 months, back to back. And I looked at the business and I said, I can't do it like this anymore. And I actually scaled back down to 30 to 50K months to try to set myself up. I let go of clients. I stopped some of my programs just to try to actually restructure my business for ultimate success. And then that next year is when I started hitting my 100K months, and it felt so incredibly aligned and good because I took some time to slow down so that I could actually speed up, right? So for me, I decided to actually strategically focus more on the power of compounding growth versus quantum leaps, right? So that I could actually have a business that continued to scale and grow in the long term. Instead of chasing these massive jumps that felt really unsustainable, I focused on getting 10%. So here's my 10% rule. I focus on getting 10% better every single month. And it doesn't necessarily mean only 10% better in your income. It could be 10% more in revenue, but it also could be 10% more in efficiency in your systems and how you're operating. It could be 10% more clarity in your messaging. It could be 10% more people that come in to your audience. What is that 10% that feels really easy to achieve, right? That you can focus on, that's going to compound over a month. And when you look at it in a 12-month period, that's 120%. That you've now increased, or you're 120% better. A normal business, okay, aims to be 20% better year over year. The 10% rule allows you to be 120% better year over year, right? And because of my 10% rule and that intentional focus, this year in 2025, year to date from January to March of 2025 versus January to March of 2024, we're actually up 140% in revenue, which is insane, right? The first quarter of this year, we will, at this point right now, without predicting what more could come in, will land at around 600K in cash for the first 3 months of the year, which is insane. But that's because I focus on that 10% intentionality, and I didn't try to push myself so far to the point of breaking everything, which is where most actually fuck up. Right? And I'm working actually less than ever. And I'm seeing my clients have bigger results this year than ever, which is a beautiful thing, right? And when you think about it, 10%, it doesn't sound like much, but when it compounds, it's exponential, right? It's insane to look at the numbers year over year. And that's how I want you to think. You have to think in this business longer term, right? It's not just month to month. And I know that so many people get caught up in the month to month of this because people are focused on, oh, I had a 30K month, oh, I had a 50K month, whatever it is. Great. But what about the next 3, 6, 12 months of revenue and of business building that you have to do, right? We did 400K in almost less than 2 months, which is crazy, but that is what happens when you play the long game, right? I've been doing this for a long time. Okay, we're going on almost year 6, realistically, doing this in the business and really being strategic and intentional, and all the lessons and everything that I've been able to learn. And it's just been such a blessing to go through so many different versions of my brand, my business, myself along this journey. And I always say that the business is going to be the biggest personal development journey that you've ever gone on, but I really want you to be that grounded CEO that's looking at things from a realistic standpoint. And like I said, it's not that you can't have the crazy dreams, and I'm doing crazy shit, but it's done in a way that feels really good to me, that feels good on my nervous system, that feels good in my psyche, that feels good when I look at myself in the mirror every single day as well, and I like who's looking back at me, and I feel happy. And I think so many entrepreneurs, because you place focus on quantum leaping, or you're not good enough if you don't make a certain amount of income in a certain amount of time, or you're not up 300%, month over month, you don't feel worthy enough, and you tie so much of your worthiness to this success and this money, and it's just not sustainable. And that's when you end up in unhappiness. And that's why we see a lot of creators and incredible entrepreneurs that get to a point in their business where from the outside looking in, it looks like they have everything, millions and millions of dollars, and then they leave the space, or they go on sabbatical, or whatever it is, because they're not actually building for their own happiness and sustainability long term, year over year. So when you focus on actually being better every single month and not just bigger, that is when your business is actually going to take off. So over 12 months being up about 140%, it means that 11.67% of compounding my income every single month. Right? If I'm up 10% at the end of the month, I know that it's going to compound to the next month and the next month and the next month. And I just think that's such a grounded leadership place to be, right? And I'll take that any day over a business that's eventually going to crash and burn because I can't sustain it. And like I said, I've seen so many coaches even quit because of this. And that's what I want to say to you. I want to say, fuck your quantum leaps. Fuck trying to double your income overnight without the capacity to actually hold it. Right? I'm all for moving fast, and I'm all for moving big. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't a fast action taker and I made big moves. I would not be sitting here and have the results that I have, which is what most people wish to have in this industry, is the sustainability that I've been able to build for myself year over year, right? But if you have to think about the aftermath of your growth, and there needs to be a strategic plan for sustainability in place for you, okay? I can support you in making fast cash. Clients come into my world and they skyrocket. I just had a client that hired me in December. She joined my Savage Strategy Accelerator program, and she came in and she was making around 10 to 12K a month, and she was like, I'm just ready for more. March comes around. So think about this. She's been in the program now for 2 entire months. The first week of March was a $40,000, 39.9K cash week for her, because we restructured. We had capacity. So it's not that you can't go fast, but I want to make sure that you're actually set up for sustainable success and growth, right? I can take one look at your business and know exactly what needs to change, what needs to shift, give you the plan, and you implement, and boom, shit can happen fast. But I'm also going to ensure that you are focusing on improving the right areas and building systems and making long-term decisions for your success, so that it compounds, so that you're adding to your MRR, your monthly recurring revenue, every single month, right? I'm not interested in working with clients that just want a quick win or a quick fix or a band-aid solution, right? Like those types of people, they're not for me. I want people that are going to be here in the long term, that are here to build something real and make real impact in their lives and actually change their life, right? Like, you're not just here to make 10K overnight and then fuck off. You're here to actually build like a company and a brand that makes major impact in your life and the lives of your clients, right? I'm here for the people who want to move fast and lead bigger and are ready to build that long-term success and understand that this business is a journey, and they love every aspect of the journey, of the ups, of the downs, and they're here because they see the bigger picture of what they're building, okay? So I think that it's time for you to get the fuck out of rooms that fuck with your mindset, that tell you that there's something terribly wrong if your business is not up 400% every single month. Like, get out of rooms that make you doubt your success, and then make you almost feel like you have to lie in your content, or feel like you're not good enough, or people are not going to want to hire you, or you're not good as your coach, or whatever it is. Like, get out of those rooms that make you feel smaller and start leaning into real business strategy that actually compounds in the long term. And when you are ready to focus on that sustainable scaling, that is when you come into my programs, and that is when you hire me to mentor you. We're going to clean up the mess that you've built, or we're going to build it from the beginning and make sure that it's something that is going to last for you in the long term. I love you. Thank you so much for listening in. I really hope that you can take away something impactful from this episode that allows you to release that pressure on yourself and go after the 10%, go after the long term, go after the compounding effect, because that is what's going to bring you so much sustainability and security in the long-term vision that you have for your business and your brand and your impact.